Hallelujah. Calvary Evangelistic Ministry. Papa. Just a round of applause. All right, okay. So, my name is Kwekwa from Mami Usua. We all belong to the Ghanaian Social Workers Association. About a year ago, we thought that we had to come together as social workers because there were a lot of issues happening within our Ghanaian communities. A lot of people have come from places like Italy and Spain and other countries where child protection is very different. And so they come here and they get a cultural shock. When they hear things that are happening, when the children go to school, and a number of reasons. That is why we came together, and then we wanted to put an end to it. Unfortunately, we have incidences of Ghanaian families being accommodated in local authority care. There were 5 children in Coventry that went to care. There were 5 children in Rugby that went to care. There were 2 children in Sunwell that went to care. There are 2 children currently in another case in Sunwell that has gone into care. They are all Ghanaian children. And some of the things we'll talk about will be a little bit difficult for the very younger ones to take. So if it's possible for the kiddie boobs and kiddie babs, those who are really below the age of 10, it might be good for them to be looked after by somebody, or else they should be engaged, because some of the information that we're going to share this afternoon will be a bit difficult for them. All right. So yes, we came together, and by God's grace, we have been able to intervene. We educate a lot of people. We are on Pasito Radio, which is a radio in Manchester. It's online. Every other week, we go on there to discuss various topics. The family in Coventry, we supported them. We went to local authority to their meetings. We talked to the family. We pleaded with the local authority. We explained things to them in a language they can understand. And by God's grace, after about a year and 4 months, 4 of the children are back home in Coventry. The older one, we are still working. We are hoping that God will intervene. It is almost there because she is desperate to come home. There's a family in Sunwell. After 6 months, when we had the case, we spoke to them. The parents were fantastic. There are some people that it is a desire, it is exciting to work with them. We spoke to them about 2, 3, 4 occasions, and they turned things around. So the children were back home within 6 months. There is a case in Rugby right now where 3 of the older ones are back home now, and we are working with them. So we are working. So please pray for us as we carry on. My role is called Independent Reviewing Officer or a Child Protection Chair. So normally when a child comes into care, for various reasons, I hold a child protection conference and I sit at the table. And I ask the social worker, why have you come here? I ask the school, what are you doing to support? I ask health, what are you doing? I tell the parents, these are the things that you need to do in order for the children to come back to your care. In some situations, children are not able to return back to their parents. So we say, look for family members who can look for them. Look for somebody who's close to you who can look after them while you do some work. Parenting courses and other things. And then, by God's grace, sometimes they return back. Some of them, they don't return back. That's the sad bit. But what we are mainly about is prevention. They say prevention is better than what? You are a wonderful crowd. Please give yourself a round of applause. Wonderful. A few things. If you go anywhere, there are things that you need to observe. It's just Abrofubika said you can't teach an old dog what? New tricks. I disagree. Because I believe in God, and God changes everything. I worship a God who is an impossibility specialist. So I believe that somebody here will learn something today. It is difficult. I know that if you but we can learn something. We are not here to argue with anybody. We are just to advise. Okay? So if you have very strong views about something, please be prepared to give some of those strong views away so that we will prevent our children from being taken into care. So that we will give our children the best of upbringing. So if you are not willing to give up some of your old thinking, the way you've been brought up, so you and say, I give you a can say, how kakra, if your yell be braille, if it reminds you of something very painful, please, pull us aside and let's talk to you. And if possible, if you don't want to talk to us, seek some counseling, because we don't want anything that we discuss today to affect anybody. And to us, child protection, everybody's business. And see, social workers have a role, teachers have a role, doctors, anybody who has anything to do with children has a role. More importantly, the church has a role. Amen. We have an ultimate role to be able to keep children safe. So it is everybody's responsibility. So today, we'll learn a few things about what is abuse and the various types of it. Then we go into the Bible and look at some controversial passages in the Bible that can cause problems for us. Then we have some basic understanding about the law and culture, because every day we say, oh, you're free Ghana. We'll look at all that if we have time. And then if you suspect, if you suspect a child is being abused, what are your responsibilities? What do you do? So let's define what child abuse is. Hello? Hi. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Nice one. Let's define what child abuse is. So child abuse is any action by another person, adult or child, that causes significant harm. It can be physical, sexual, emotional, but often it can just be a lack of love and attention or neglect. Say bibi a obi ye or ya pala na ebedi ne dem anasa be man how kese ade bi obi ye ebetimi di akola bi dem anasa be man how kese den child abuse. Anything that will cause significant harm, anything that could change the outcomes for children. If you are now, God has given a collective gifts to get to a certain height. Something that you said to that child will dampen the child's spirits for the rest of their lives. You've changed the child's destiny because of something that you said or something you did to a child. So anything that will cause significant harm is what? Okay. So Colombia just say yetia musha akwala ni yi. Na yama na odo, na yama na nyemo hia. Na aduane so di yamfa ama no. Entare eti so hye yamfa ama no. Ne ya yantie ho ahwe akwala na. Etimi di ne dem kese pa. Na ye wo ni say akwala bi a yabo no yetadi na tem. If a child is being physically abused, the probability is that the child is also being emotionally abused. And most of the time, sometimes when a situation happens and social services come into the case and they start doing their investigations, they will realize that apart from the physical thing that happened, the child will be going through a lot of emotional things as well. So sometimes it's a combination of these things that cause the damage. Most of the time, abuse becomes significant if it's not a one-off incident. When it has happened over a period of time. It will surprise you to know that there are some people who are now 60 years who are now coming out to say that when they were in boarding school, they were abused by somebody. You see the news, Jimmy Savile came up recently. There are a lot of people who came up from the Church of England, the Catholic churches, where people are now saying that things happened to them. When the Me Too campaign started, a lot of actors and actresses, after years of enduring, they started coming out. So sometimes abuse happened over what? A period of time. Let's carry on. Now these are staggering statistics. Statistics. It is estimated that over half a million children are abused each year in UK. 500,000. This statistics come from the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty Against Children, NSPCC. I mean, I sure say it be Martin in Canada. All right, let's go into the Bible a little bit. Now, let me state, so that I can be SDA. Until SDA 40, I wouldn't have Bible, so they are afraid to SDA, we study the Bible. We spend a lot of time studying. So when you meet an SDA and you want to have a conversation or a debate about the Bible, trust us, we will match you because we study the Bible. So I am not against the Bible. I am a firm believer of the Bible. I am a believer, but there are certain quotations in the Bible that can cause problems for us. So let's pay attention to these verses in a few minutes. Proverbs 13:24. He that, King James Version is what I'm quoting. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasten him what? Often. Area Proverbs, let's look at Proverbs 22:15. Where they are uncomfortable. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. Jimmy, but then Proverbs 23:13 and 14 says, withhold not correction from the child. For if thou, Bible beatest him with a rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with a rod, and thou shalt deliver his soul from hell. In fact, now Proverbs 29:15. Proverbs 29:15 says that the rod and reproof give what? Wisdom. But a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. Abali and come and dancer. Now, where the my friend quotation over quotation, where the mother of all quotations, was also. Deuteronomy 21:18-21. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and who, when they have chastened him, will not heed. So we know watching us know I say then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city, to the gates of his city, and then shall they say to the elders of the city, this son of ours is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is glutton and is a drunkard. Then all the men of the city shall stone him to death with stones, and you shall put away evil from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. These are quotations in the Bible. It has gotten a lot of people into trouble. In America, there was a very famous case of a pastor who really chased him. There are laws in this country, and their Bible, and so on. Is that what the Bible is saying? If the Bible refers to a rod, is it always a bar? Is it always a cane? So, it has implications for respect and dignity. Akola bia ye nipa. Tede bia ye de abansi akola so a. Ni e bro no na se o si wontie ni e kosi ne bo a. Ni e pa chese. Awo akola bia e be kwa ma ya nsa. Even nkofo emu kran kraman ni omu nja mo anu kwa be ma kwa ma ya nsa. So it has implications. The fact is that these verses in the Bible often are poorly translated. If you want to understand the Bible, they always say that go into the text, read the preceding and the twasun, and read the whole thing. Go to the geographical context of the text. Go and look at what the situation was, why the Bible said that. Now, after that, did the Bible come back again to correct itself? So the rules change. There are things that change. First, now it's say aboti answer the free. There are things in the Bible that what changed at some point. Let's be careful about those things. When the Bible refers to the rod, which has inspired a lot of parents to tell you to go and break off a branch of a tree. Let's look at Psalm 23. Or say then, thy rod and thy what? Staff. May what? Comfort me. Now, how can a rod and a staff really comfort you? That rod is not the cane that we know. That rod means something else. When the Hebrew word called rod, it is translated as shepherd, which is a metaphor for leadership. So even when you go to our traditional friends saying chieftaincy and our kings now, they hold what? Staffs. They hold rod. It's a symbol of what? Leadership. It's a symbol of discipline. Now imagine, say, if you are a leader and you have the staff, do you use the staff to hit your people? No, you don't do that. It is a symbol of leadership. So sometimes it is used metaphorically. And my board also did that. And see, the air can say, yes, Ramwa. Bible I can't say me pray. Now say Oko. Now what the bibi yoba. Now say a grandma for Emra eso mua. Now go join now catch us a Bible na kan ya. Now say Bible can no you see you free a hotel. First but no go hotel here there's Bibles there. If you go to a hotel you normally see Bibles. Now people are now complaining that the Bible is abusive to them, so stop. Now even if when you preach outside and you are not careful and you quote certain things in the Bible about maybe sexuality, so be careful about the implications and the interpretation of the Bible. That's what we are saying. Okay. Akolebia deserves to be protected irrespective of culture. And found baby free. So free Ghana, so free Zimbabwe, so free Caribbean. Baby free piano. Akolebia deserves the right to be what? Protected. So your Ghana anka. Say crano. Say Oko Ghana. No big far back or over. It is no longer applicable. The society is what? Moving on. It's changing every day. There are certain practices that are not acceptable. One of those practices is female genital mutilation. We thought, say, a thing of the past. There was this woman, a prosecutor in London, or the Nebako Nukrum, and I go cha, Yamabi. Or by a Yachinatum. Some of those practices, everyone man tibida. When I was growing up, I never heard of them. Your friend be a flattening of the breast. Some women were so worried that their children were developing breasts that they will wrap clothes around the breast and use iron to press it to suppress the breast from coming out. It's going on. Child slavery is going on. It saddens you to be a Ghanaian to hear some of these things. Let's be careful about them. They are all forms of abuse. We have other people too who are specialists in casting out demons and witchcraft. If you want to be there are some churches, so-called spiritual churches, who are specialists in casting out demons and witchcraft. Please, don't, if you suspect that there is something going on with your child, seek professional help. Because there is a lot of women and mothers and grandmothers who have been accused of witchcraft when there was dementia. And grandma, we have a lot of people who are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. The same people know they say, they are saying things that are not practical. They are not able to join things together because we didn't have the knowledge. We accuse them of what? Witchcraft. And they were maltreated and they are taken into special camps and all that. For lack of knowledge, my people what? Now let's look at the forms of it. We have the physical. Are you familiar with this? You are doing that. The other day, we were discussing it with a group of people. Oh, uncle, this is exercise. I'm saying exercise. Exercise, then the whole family. Then it is fun. But if you use it as a form of punishment, then unfortunately, that is abuse. But if we are all at the park, we are doing then it's together, we are all having fun. It's the context in which it is used. But could be one, you see, touch your toe. Stretch position. Now what do we say? Down team free. These things that happen to us, we need to look at it carefully. Another case. Maybe yasu odi emu egufom. Na ne ba na bukotoju wasu no di nsuo sisi ne nsam. Se o twenaso. There's this woman who put rice on the floor. The son had to kneel in the rice, and there was water in their hands while they were kneeling. He went to school and reported it, and that child is in care. Then we are familiar with the what? The cane. Some of us, our teachers used cane as stress reliever, tension reliever. Monday morning mental. Do you remember? Ash! Monday morning dictation. Maybe the teacher the previous night did not have intense fellowship with his wife. Then he comes to school in frustration. Obaya, assistant 5. Before you think, pa pa pa. 8 times 10. Pa pa pa. Spell this. Then there's the other case where we know of, where this woman has been arrested for applying what? Ginger. And there is a lot of cases. For our association, we hear about it every day. Please, there is no medical evidence that this ginger actually do anything to us. And why? Rather, it causes what? Harm. It causes pain. Unnecessary, excruciating pain. Now, here because if they are reported, by the time you explain it, your child is already in care for 6 months, 9 months. And by the time they come back, they are a different child. Different children. They are not going to like your food. They are not going to like the clothes. They are not going to like your accent. They are not going to... By the time they come back, they are different children. Because other people are what? Parenting them. Then we have the domestic abuse. That is very common. We'll come into that. We have the psychological or emotional abuse, neglect, and sexual abuse. Now let's look at them very briefly. Physical abuse is the deliberate hurting of a child that causes bruises, broken bones, burns, or cuts. It is not accidental. Aba akwala no na no apai. Ukra wonim. Akwala no ka say, oh, it wasn't on purpose. It was an accident. Meboa. Your man said, what happened to you? So I was coming behind my dad and he moved his hand unintentionally and he hit me. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about deliberately. So this is what deliberate. So when you hit, kick, it will surprise you that some people deliberately poison their children. Oh yeah, we have a lot of cases about that. Some people burn their children. There was this woman who says that the child keeps on biting, a toddler, about 1 year old. I think he was starting to teeth. When they are teething, they like to bite things. And the child maybe bit the woman. She also grabbed the child's hand and bit it. There are other people who use cigarettes to burn their children. It happens a lot. Then there is this one of shaking babies, where the baby is crying. When you feed the baby, you bring the food out. It causes brain damage. And again, so we want to drive away fear from the child. The person you who free you, now to know when to me answer more. And the time no, there is no benefit to it. Who na be or more for and some children are afraid of spiders. What are you going to do? Are you going to put the spider in their pocket or what? Or they are afraid of snakes. My wife, when you see snakes on the television, you run away. Even on the television. Phobia, I need to know anything. There is another one called induced illness. Or fabricated illness. That is when you keep on reporting that your child is ill when they are not ill. Because some people become aware that when the child is ill, sometimes they get some benefits. So they start labeling their children, oh, ADHD. It's got this, it's got that. The more you report that there is an illness and you take your child to the doctors, they do a lot of experiments. Most of them, it is try and what? Error. So sometimes your child will go through surgical processes because you've been thinking that the child is what? Ill. Some people are really ill to suggest that their children are ill. It's a mental health what? Issue. Some people have a mental health condition. They are so paranoid and schizophrenic that omofo say and omomane yare. And then yare. Onwanga sana yare, thank you. We know about the cane, we know about the belts. we know about all these things. Let's carry on. Now, spanking. Uchaba tokeke. Jaisa, collaborating. Jaisa. There are people now lobbying. They are lobbying parliament, the ding, that they want to ban spanking. So when they ban spanking, we are all criminals. We are all what? Criminals. They are so desperate that they want to ban spanking. So please, before it becomes a law, stop it. There is no need to it. Let's all look at what we need to do when the children are difficult to manage. 1 in 14 children, so when you count your children, 1 in 14 has been what? Physically abused. The children you have, when you count in 14, one of them, that's what statistics is saying. And also, domestic abuse, This is about 90% of most of the cases that social services get. And what is domestic abuse? It is a type of controlling, bullying, threatening, or violent behavior between people in a what? A relationship. And you know, and when atia say o show bi so a friend conform ayonkofa a relationship. It is not only physical, it can be emotional, it can be sexual, it can be financial, it can be psychological. Enti yetiwo osi ayami na mekofa obai usika na onya ya no fabra na miya matibi ama na boso me so na oba mi rampa cho minya 5 pounds mfa nko top pad. That is abuse. The other side is also applicable, where Obama say ekaba eden bemadia na ne die ne kakra na odaba na bo abusia no na odi akwahye baabi no ahwe wa na wo bre na wo koba na wo bre utimu se wo akwa abakra no oba no go nya adaje ma na efisa wo bre and also you abuse you. Yes, Remo. Nobody is going to report you for doing that, but I think that it contributes to some of these situations. So what we're saying in effect is that financially, be united financially. Support, because it is hard in this country. The money that you are using to build the homes in Ghana, I call them funeral homes. If you are even not lucky, your dead body will not see that building in Ghana or that mansion you are building back home. We invest all our money and then we'll be living in some council flats that is damp. That will give us illness because we want to invest. And then what is so sad about it is that every month you send money to maintain that building in Ghana. There will be people living in it and tell you, I'm going for Scabra. To the detriment of your own family. And Sikasam, a hard Sikasam, the man to put number one. Stress, any sikasem. And then they and tokaba. And you're saying, you will fear, anticipating pain is more painful than the pain itself. So when people want to torture you, what do? They put out knives and they start sharpening the knives. So when you are looking at the knife, you know that they are going to what? Use the knife. So the anticipation is what? It's painful itself. But imagine that you are a vulnerable child. You are only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you hear bang, you hear or this is you hear shouting and you can't do anything about it. What happens to you? The person that you go to for protection, the person that you go to, we call it a safe haven. Every parent should be a safe haven for their children. When they are hurt, they run to you. When they are afraid, they come to you. But the same person that they are supposed to come to you, you are the one causing the abuse. So where do they go? So let's be very careful about this. It is very dangerous. So we are saying that it also happens even when the relationship has ended. When you look at the statistics of the homicides and the statistics of the murders, most of it is from a disgruntled ex-partner or an ex-husband. They are more dangerous even when you've left the relationship. So be very careful. When even you've left that fighting relationship, don't compromise on your safety. Because most of them, I mean, almost a year ago, somebody from my child's school, they were found in Aldi. The man and the woman were sitting in a car. The man had some argument the previous night. They found them early in the morning. The man has stabbed his wife several times. And they were sitting in the car. And that man who did that is from my son's school. It is closer than we think. A lot of people are killing their spouses. Some people, they will kill their spouse, kill their children, and kill themselves out of jealousy. Out of jealousy. So please, let's be very careful. When you see that it is controlling, don't think that when you marry, the person is going to change. When you see any signs of controlling, where are you? What time are you coming? Who are you talking to? Let me check your phone. Let me check this. Then you start thinking twice about it. And it goes to the young ones as well. If you are in a relationship and your boyfriend is controlling and you think, oh, he's so jealous because he's so in love, be careful. Be careful. So we're saying that it also happens between other relationships as well. And sometimes the women are also perpetrators. There are a lot of men who are crying, though. There are a lot of men who are being beaten every day at their homes, but because they are men, they cry in CDC. There is this doctor who was murdered by his wife. Very violent. So we are not saying that the women are innocent. The statistics show that most of the victims are women. It is almost half. The men are almost half the statistics. And then sometimes there's no smoke. And sometimes there's no smoke. It takes two to what? To tango. So sometimes, please, don't provoke them. Some of the women, they know their rights and they know it properly. And they know that you can't touch them. So they will intentionally provoke you and tell you, oh, where are they? What can you do? But please, and trust me, witnessing the abuse is what we are talking about. Some people are saying, oh, the children were young, they were only 3. Oh, they didn't see anything. But go and look at them in school. They are so disruptive. They can't sit still. They don't want to sit there. And you are thinking they are only 3, so they didn't see anything. They saw it. So please, let's rather be kind to each other. Around 1 in 5. The physical abuse was 1 in 14. This one is what? 1 in 5. So the statistics from NSPCC saying that around 1 in 5 children have been exposed to domestic abuse. And trust me. Emotional. Oh, this one. Is the ongoing emotional maltreatment of a child. Is sometimes called psychological abuse and can seriously damage a child's emotional health and development. Emotional abuse can involve deliberately trying to scare or humiliate a child, or isolating or ignoring them. Some people would deliberately humiliate their children. We had a recent case where a child was taken into care. Do you know why? Unfortunately, the child was a little bit older, and the child was bedwetting. Or Junso Kakra or Keteso. And then a friend of Junso Krobo. And the parent thought that when you tease the child, that is when it will stop the child from bedwetting. So the child went to school one day and said, I don't want to go home. Why? Because my parents are always teasing me about this bedwetting. And they've actually threatened me that they will come and report it in school. It's common, why? Children who are normally abused are afraid of the dark. So when they are supposed to wake up from the bed and go and use the loo, they are so terrified that they would rather what? Ease themselves. So there could be so many reasons for that. So please, humiliation is not the key. But what do we expose our children to? Look at the Ghanaian and the Nigerian movies. The shouting is at a different level. Some people, they are specialists in insults. And that is the kind of movie we want. There are some people, when they start insulting you, it is better than somebody using bricks on you. And then you start comparing them. Have you seen this other child? They're the same age. And that child is clever than you. They come and recite memory verses in church. You can't do the same. It is your fault. There is always the nature and nurture debate about what is the best way. What's the best way to raise children? I would go to the nature, because how many people are born clever? I believe that when you give them the attention, they will be as clever as anything. Time, attention. So if your child is not clever and you are comparing to the next person, go and find out what happens at the next person's home. How much time that the parents spend, rather than going to do the double shift. They spend the time at home and help the child to study. So, answer now, baby, another time. There are some teachers who've done us a lot of damage. So, if you are a teacher, or if you are a Sunday school teacher, or you have a responsibility for children, be careful of what you say, because you can say one thing to a child. There are a lot of videos that we see on social media about people who were told they will never succeed by their teachers. And they sometimes wanted to prove the teachers wrong. But most of the children, when you tell them they can never succeed, they would what? They will take it. When you continuously tell your child that they are stupid, they will start acting stupidly. If you continuously tell your child you are foolish, one day they will act what? Foolishly. Because they know that after all you say what? I'm foolish, so why don't I act foolish? The impact of emotional abuse is severe. Because you told the child they are stupid. When they go to the class and even they know the answer, they think it is wrong, so they'll put their hand down. You are limiting them. When they need to do an exam and they need to apply themselves, they think they are already what? Stupid. So you are limiting them. When they come out and then they want to pursue a career, you've told them they are stupid. Have you seen any doctor who is stupid? So they will not pursue the kind of prestigious jobs that you want. So please, let's be careful about it. Let's try and move on. So neglect is another type of abuse. It is the ongoing failure to meet a child's basic needs, and it's the most common. I would say that within the black communities, most of the time, when there's neglect cases, it's because of poverty. But there are other cases where people are abusing alcohol and drugs. So they don't know, when they wake up in the morning, they are already late for school. So the child gets up, they throw any clothes they have on the child, a planet the speed no go school. Maybe Grandpa John saw the previous night. The child maybe wet themselves the previous night. Now a planet go school, and the child will be smelling. And then the friends will start teasing. And then the child is now being bullied because of their appearance, because of the dirty clothes, because of how smelly they are, and they decide, I don't want to go to school. And if they don't want to go to school, you tell them to go to school, you turn your back, and they go out of the other gates. Most of these schools, they don't even lock the gates. They go the other way, and by the time you realize your child is already forming a different relationship, all because you did not take your time to look after the children. There's some of us, even the men, professional gossip. They will sit on their phone and talk about everything that happened in church. Did you see the shoe that pastor was wearing today? And instead of you paying attention to your children, we are rather talking. Constantly on the phone. They will call home. They want to check on the land. They want to check on that property. And the money I sent to this person, and the money I sent to that person, they will spend the whole evening. They will not spend any time with their children. Statistics showed, there was a study on men and the time we spend with our children. Some of the studies said that the quality time men spend with children is 8 minutes in 24 hours. Some of them is not even 8 minutes. Because who wakes the children up from bed? Mommy. Who gives them a bath? Who gets them ready for school? Who gives them breakfast? Who takes them to school? Who collects them from school? Who gives them food to eat? Who helps them with breakfast? Who puts them to bed? So men, what are we doing? If you are a man, time, the quality time you spend with your child. Quality time is not, hey, Sophie, Okoda, and the instructions. That's not quality time. Quality time is, how are you? How was your day? What happened in school today? What games do you play? What is the latest dance in school? Oh, there's something called the floors. Oh, do the floors. Let me see. There's something called the height. Oh, daddy, there's a new dance. Left, right. Hey, let me see again. Oh, daddy, do you know how to shaku shaku? Let the home be fun. Now listen here carefully. When you start talking to them about how was school, what was good about school, what games do you play? Oh, we played tick. Tell me about it. What happened? Who do you play with? Who do you normally play with? Do they play with you? Then you are looking at your child's experience in school. So if there is something, you can go to the teacher and tell them. How many of us go to assemblies? Your child is being rewarded for something good they've done. And you are not there. You are busy working. Take some time off and go. These are important moments The children will cherish those moments better than the iPads you buy them, the Xbox you buy them. It's not replaceable. Go to the assemblies, go to the parents' evenings. Amen. Amen. And also, medical attention. Because we don't want to spend time at A&E. You know how long you spend at A&E? So you wait, we'll go tomorrow. Now, let me give you some couple. It will go. Some people would wait and wait and wait. By the time they seek medical attention, it's rather what? Too late. Danger. The kitchen is the most dangerous place in the house, right? Where do you find knives? Where do you find detergents? Where do you find the gas? It is the kitchen. Please, let's supervise our children when they are using the kitchen. Because if you are cooking and you turn around and your child wants to be experimental, and then remember, so please, let's be careful. Let's move on. Let's move on. I know the time is fast spent. The Lord does not really give a strict age where children can be left home alone. I'm going to ask some time so that babies or toddlers, and I'm not mitigating circumstances, don't leave them at home. Wada or nae and some people say, oh, my baby will sleep throughout the night. No, some children wake up. Some children have nightmares. Some children fall ill. There was a case, a 2-year-old. The parents thought that the child was fast asleep. You know, in this country, you can open the door from the outside, but you can't open from the inside, but you can't open from the, most of the doors are like that. 2-year-old, he woke up crying, where's mommy, where's mommy? Crawled out of the court, walked downstairs, mommy, opened the door, and they lived very close to a very high, busy street. Cross the road, bang! That's it. The child is dead, 2-year-old. The mommy was going to the shop to buy milk. Please, sometimes even when they are ill, put them in the car or put them behind you and walk in the rain and go and get it. Don't leave babies or toddlers at home, please. If a child is not 12, most of the children who are under 12 are not matured enough to know what to do in case of emergency. When there's fire, would your 12-year-old know what to do? One of the biggest killers is carbon monoxide. You know what? 15 pounds. Please go on Amazon and buy a carbon monoxide detector. 15 pounds. It can save lives. Because when there's a gas leak and you've left your children at home, you may come and find them dead. There are boilers at home that can start leaking, and they leak this carbon monoxide. Please get that detector at home. It will beep and save lives. Smoke alarms. Have you tested your smoke alarm? When was the last time you tested it? Is the battery still working? So we are saying that some children who are not aged under age 12, they don't know what to do in case of what? Emergency. If your child is not 16, don't leave them at home overnight. You'll get into trouble if you do. This is silly, yeah? Imagine that. What's the definition of a child? What's the definition of a child? Come on, help me here. It's not a trick question. How old are you until you are an adult? 18, right? Yeah, it's not a trick question. So if you're 17 and a half year old, it's telling you they are still what? It's 17 and a half. They are still what? They are still and they tell you, you tell them, oh, Kofi, I'm going to this place, let me leave you here. I'll be back in 3 days, you'll be fine. Or I'll be back in the next day or 2 days, you'll be fine. They say, oh, mommy, I don't want you to go. If anything happens, you're going to be in trouble. Because they are technically still what? Children. So it says that a child should never be left home alone if they do not feel comfortable, regardless of their age. If they say, I'm not comfortable, let's carry on. And if your child has got additional needs, or the child has got, maybe a developmental need, ADHD or some needs, or your child is autistic, and that's how, or you're referring from the, please, don't leave them home alone. In charge, and don't leave an older one in charge of the younger ones. I always use my children as example. My older one is almost 10 and my younger one is 7. Every day my older one is coming to tell me that the younger one has done something to him. Imagine, he's always complaining that the younger one has done, Mommy, Daddy, Junior has done this, Junior has done that. Imagine if I tell him, look after your brother. What's going to happen? You're going to fight. And when they fight, they will fall out and they'll say, well, it's not my responsibility anymore. And so please, don't leave the younger ones, because the younger ones, I don't know what happens, but they are always more challenging than the older ones. But then let's see. There are people who are taking advantage of our children. There are people who target single women, or they see that you need a bit of help. And they will come and be friends with you, and they will say, oh, recently my pastor was telling me that there is one of our churches that they noticed that somebody came. The church is supposed to be a hospital for sinners, but some of the sinners, we need to be very careful about them. Not knowing that this person had a history. They have been convicted of child sexual abuse. They had a history, and they came to the church. And they started playing with some of the children. And what we knew that is that one of the children was sitting on his lap in church. Let's be careful that the people who are coming through our doors. Anybody who has got care of children should be DBS checked. Has to be DBS checked. These are the laws. Let's be very careful. All right, so questions?
I will say, we know the differences in our society, but it look as say in European, some particular way, a different altogether. Because some, Italy, it is not there. We treat our children the way the Bible tells us to treat. But the function of Palaboni in Italy. Just racial, we say between it was a youth, they are able to kind of say, integrated very well. But you can't just say, I have more and more Shem Rambo, I have one and Palaboni in the water. Who the same thing, young boy, Funipa. You married the same thing, the training and quality no Munipa. Or free school bar, parent, our own. If I say this, I say, I think. Who say you have to go and study somebody's country, the way our society is here. Then you apply it here rather than giving us laws and all those things. Amen.
When it comes to child protection, some countries like Italy, Spain, Belgium, and a lot of countries, when you go to countries in the Scandinavia like Finland, Denmark, and other places, they are more advanced than the UK. Now, the society is evolving. When you look at the history of Italy and their child protection and their history, when it comes to the family unit and there are a lot of things, it is very different. Investment, anything at 70, and then they know a lot of things. Now, when it comes to Mkolana, the children that they are saying that they are disrespectful, let me tell you, the truth is this. Most of the children that you see on the streets that are disrespectful are the children from broken homes. If you spend quality time with your children, and if the home is a little heaven, they will not go outside. They are those who come from, because we deal with the children every day. Both the whites and the blacks and the Asians, we deal with them every day. Most of the children that you see doing antisocial behavior or being part of those things are from broken homes. Because we use fear and abuse and beating to raise our children, they are fearful of us. But they will get to a time where they are no longer afraid. Then, what is your strategy in managing your children? When they are young ones and you use fear to manage them, rather than discipline, there's a distinction between fear and discipline and respect. If you use fear and your child is old enough, you can no longer control the child because they are beyond your what? Your fear. What we need to do is rather build a closer relationship with our children so that they will respect us. Not fear us, but respect us. It is better for us to be able to build a better relationship with our children rather than using fear and beating. Because when they are beyond the beating, that's the end. Next question.
Very important. Here comes about Nkwala. But here comes when, for example, it happens because we need to say, yeah, we'll make an example. No? Nkwala 12 years to go, it's easy for them to listen to parents. It's easy to manage them. But from 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10, I'm picky from school. I'm picky. I have culture. I have what And what I noticed is to say, I'm go school. Teachers enlighten them, teach them, and ask them questions and let them know their rights. And for them, it's very hard. Say, Abia, with me, I manage you because they have that protection from the school. Say, if your mother crampon or back to me, if something like this happen home, come and tell me, and we will protect you. But a child of 13 years, I bet think it twice before it happened. And then I know you're number one. And two also is that when you as a parent being called, so about a report to one, when you get there, what do you have to do?
The statistics rather is that when you bring your child and they are 10 years and they hit 12, that's where most of the cases, that's where we start getting the problems from. Why? Because or do 12 or you do the teenager. They start to question everything. They question their identity. They question religion. Instead of us, we'll take our time and rather teach them the reason why it is important for us to come to church. And yes, by force. Because when they are, there's a lot of changes going on biologically also with them. When you hit 12, you think you are more intelligent than anybody in the world. And most of the difficulties come from age 12. Most of the reports we have, are children who have come from Ghana. They spend about 2 years. They get to know their rights. They get to know the circumstances, the things that are different. You want to instill discipline. Say, I don't cry, not to me report to parents, I'll be okay. And I hear something happen. The Mimican says, about 6, 7, 8 you have great opportunity to build your relationship. That is easier. Because they are more under your control. The Mimican say, what are the teachers telling our children? If the teacher is able to get our children to listen without using the cane, what are we doing differently? What are we doing wrongly? If the teachers get the children, look at the number of children they look after the whole day. They don't use canes on any of them, but they get them to be able to listen to them. So then we are doing something different. We rather need to unlearn the things that we do. The way we were parented, we rather to unlearn them. After all, if a teacher tells my son that if there's anything, come and tell me, and I have not done anything to my children, what do I worry about? If I'm not abusing my child in any shape or form, and the teacher is saying that if you are worried, come and tell me, I don't care. Now, the second question is, when you are reported. So a teacher for friend, depending on the case and depending on the merits of the case, every situation can be different. For instance, you've been called to school because your child is supposed to have said something wrong, or the child is accused, so don't just admit, say, I am, without listening to the case. Maybe I'll say, what happened? Go and listen to the teacher's version. Come and listen to your child. Look at the merits of the case before you decide. So when you go, just go and listen. Depending on what it is. If they are saying that they've been abused in any shape or form, there is a problem. Already there is a problem. That means that there is a damage between the relationship between you and your children. Because in all things being equal, so if there is a loving relationship between you and Ba, I'm going to report you that. And so report there's something wrong. And you have to repair that relationship with your child. If there is any truth in it, we make the situation worse for ourselves. Me bana say, me born. Na ampa me born. Say, me born. Ampa me born. Because at the end of the day, ebi a born, which are to say which are to. And I mean, legally speaking, that is not a crime. Law no say reasonable force. What I say, and then before this, he said no. People are abusing the reasonable force. And the advice is say, "Me go born to cry. Me after the very say, born and born. Me reasonable. I say reasonable." So don't hit the child at all and get into problem. But then when you are accused of something, then you can actually interpret it. Well, yes, I did that. I don't really intend to do that. That was the first time I did it. And I mean you. But if it's something you are doing, yeah, please change. What's in the maker? And depending on the merit of the case, because we will be the details of the case you are, and it's difficult to respond if you don't know the details of the case. And we are in a public entity, quite difficult to discuss a personal issue publicly. But look at the merits of the case. If there is some truth to it, admit the truth to it. The worst case that will happen is that you'll be told, please don't do that again. When social services come in and they'll look at the merits of the case, so if the parents admit, say, this is what I did, and I don't really want to do that again, they will support you. Because your child is a child in need. That's the worst case scenario. But when they see, say, the abuse is likely to carry on now, that is when they will go to child protection. Because that means that the harm that will be happening to the child is likely to be significant. What you are saying? The prime aim of social services is not to remove your children, but to support you in order for you to parent properly. That's the prime aim. But when we go and we start arguing with them, imagine that you go and you start throwing insults. Then they are thinking, well, then it's right. Because I am a stranger to you. Look at the way you are talking to me. How much more your own children? So they look at your behavior and your reaction towards them to measure that the probability is that the abuse is right. Because when you can be abusive towards them, I knew of a man. I know of a man. He said that if you don't handcuff, if you don't put me to prison, I will not allow you to remove my children. Hey. There was a man who was saying that if you take my children, I'll kill myself. Hey. So there are so many things that we do because we care for our children, we love them, and we can't imagine those things. We are thinking about the public shame, we are thinking about a lot of things. We react. The reaction, let's name it. Listen to the substance of what is being said. Be very calm. You say, no, it didn't happen. They would go for, they'll ask you for your permission to go for a child protection medical to ascertain as to whether, and sometimes, if they think that your permission is going to jeopardize the investigation, they would have already undertaken the investigation. Yes, it will be very uncomfortable, but it is, and before I go through it, what you are saying, every case is very different. But what I'm saying is that your reaction is important. If you go fighting, sometimes, it rather makes the situation worse. What you are saying, just remain calm. Maybe say, no, I know I failed as a parent. What maybe I'm free banner. I feel as a parent say, why would my child go and report to me? Why? That's the question. Or pay attention, and that's what baby be. And what the teachers will do and the social services will do is that they look at the history. So India, he's been in school from age 5 up to now. There's been no evidence of, I don't say, there are mature signs of abuse or there are various signs. There is no evidence. Say, Akalane sustain any cuts. There is no evidence of bruises. There is no evidence of bite marks. And all those things. They are not fearful of adults. They are very confident. They open school on time. The attendance is 100%. They will look at all that information to deduce as to whether this thing happened or not. It's going to be an uncomfortable period, but you go through it. What you are saying, whether or not, because that is the law. The law is that it has to be investigated. Oh, about the answering them. It depends on the question that you have been asked. Say your child has said this. What do you have to say about that? And you say, no comment, or I want to answer in front of my lawyer. Already you are saying you are guilty. What did the maker say? Already you are saying you are guilty. If they want Abiana will say, because I've been really shocked by this. I don't think I'm in the right place emotionally. Give me some time to process this. Because it is not what you are thinking. What I'm thinking is that, I am really affected that my son is really reported me. That is a concern for me because I love my son. I love my daughter. I treat them very nicely. Maybe also there's a reason. Because maybe in the morning they wanted a particular shoe. And I said, no, they can't use that shoe because it's dirty. Or use something else. And I said, yeah, you said something to them that, or maybe they did something naughty. And you told them that they're going to have a punishment. And because of that, they've said something. So there might be a story behind it. That's what I said. And it depends on the circumstances. If you think you are not emotionally ready to answer the question, I say, give me some time to process this. What I said, because I'm really shocked by this. I'm not in the right place right now. Everybody will understand what I said. Rather than saying, I'm not going to answer your question. And I'm this. Your positive reinforcement of behavior and negative reinforcement of behavior. So if you're asking something of your child, maybe look for an incentive. What I say? Say, Abia, these are the chores in the house. This is your responsibility. This is my responsibility. This is everybody's responsibility. The person who is able to do their responsibility to the perfection, on your birthday, this is what you get. Birthdays, presents are not automatic. You have to earn it. Rewards are not automatic. Let's make our children earn things. What did the maker say? And you know, maybe I set a simple tax for them. My son wanted a Manchester United shirt with his name on it. When I checked the price, it's £55. I said, hey, Jack, this is expensive. You have to earn it. If you do your homework, if you study 30 minutes a day when you come back from school, for the next day, then you earn it. If you do your chores, then you earn it. What I say? So you use the positive reinforcement of behavior. Look at what it is. The people have set very simple targets for them to be able to achieve. ABR, yes, or didn't go for them. They've been using abusive words. What I say? No one can say. No one can say. ABR, because they are using abusive words and they are using swearing words, you tell them that if you are able to stop using swearing for 2 days, I'll buy you a treat. Then there's the negative reinforcement of behavior, where you remove a treat. So if you don't do this, then you lose your playtime. You lose your iPad. You lose your Xbox. You lose this. If you don't do this, you lose that. But statistics will tell you that you get more results with the positive reinforcement of behavior than the negative one. Strategy. Most of the behaviors can be corrected with time and attention. I'm telling you, it would come down significantly rather than the punishment. Because look at it. If God is going to punish us every day for the things we do, are we going to survive? Imagine the things we say, the things we do and the wrong thing. If God is going to punish us every day. But God is very loving. He's very generous. He's long-suffering. He gives us a long rope. So let's apply the same strategy with our children. They are also human beings. Amen.